Good afternoon. Welcome to IT Chronicles 10 and Tech. I'm here joined today with my colleagues Carlos Casanova
Hey, Kathleen.
and Shane Carlson.
Hello there.
And I'm Kathleen Wilson. And today we have the pleasure of interviewing Josh Cyphers from Nvoicepay. Welcome.
Thanks, Kathleen. It's good to be here.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah. So Josh, I wanted to share with our audiences today a little bit more about, how long Nvoicepay has been in business and what exactly does Nvoicepay help organizations do better?
Sure. I would say Nvoicepay was founded about 10 years ago with the idea that accounts payable teams in many organizations were overburdened with manual paper-based processes and really spent a lot of their time just doing these mundane tasks from day to day and not having a chance to really add value to their organizations. So the way we got started was, how can we help them? What can we do to help automate their processes and to help those teams? And what that evolved into was becoming one of the leaders of enterprise payment automation, or B2B payment automation. So what we do is we help large corporations and large organizations pay their bills in the most preferable way to them and their supplier. And we help them update their supplier information and manage that data as well as that relationship. So we really take the pain out of making payments. I'm sure each one of you pay your bills or have somebody who pays your bills for you. We take that burden off the AP teams of our customers.
So when you guys talk about automation in this space, is this, what are you doing around that? Are you, looking at payment terms based off of contracts and invoices? Are you helping them manage kind of, an optimized cash flow around these things? What does automation entail in the, invoice payment space?
The way I think about it, and that kind of our biggest leap and really what propelled us to this point so far, is that most companies today still make most of their payments by check, which means they have to print out a check, they have to paperclip it to an invoice, they have to run it over to the controller or the CFO to sign it, then they have to stuff it in an envelope, mail it, and then the receiving end receives that paper some time later and then has to process it on the receiving end. What we do is we take that full burden off of our clients and we help them maximize the amount of payments they're making electronically. So there's always going to be some amount of check, but with us, they don't even have to do the print check. So we have a portal they go into, all the approvals and workflows are automated in that online portal. It's all cloud-based, so nothing's hosted on their servers. And basically anywhere they can go through and run their payment workflows and approvals and send out payments to their vendors. And like I said, about 80% of our payments are made electronically, where most companies today are 40% plus payments made by check. We get them to 80% electronic. And so their vendors are actually happy about that. And there's a better supplier experience for our customers, which saves your AP teams quite a bit of time.
So Josh, I mean, obviously, given the current situation, this has accelerated certain areas, certain industries and whatnot. How much growth are you seeing? And, can you tell how much of it is because of just the current situation with COVID, or is it, just growth that you were seeing anyway? So what kind of growth are you seeing?
So we've been in a pretty fast growth trajectory for several years now. We've kind of ridden this wave of transitioning over to electronic payment in the industry broadly. I would say 10 years ago, about 60% of payments were made by check. Today, about 40. So there's been a slow kind of transition over to electronic payments. But once COVID hit, we saw that drastically accelerate. So I would imagine by the time this is all said and done, what took 10 years to shift 20% of the payments will probably accelerate. And we'll see within a year, 10% more shifting over to electronic means. And with that, we've seen an increased level of interest in our product and our solutions, signing up more customers than we ever have before. I would say we're easily growing 50% plus just from the uplift in COVID. And so, we're here to help, and we enable those teams. I can't even imagine being a former accounts payable manager, or running accounts payable teams, I couldn't even imagine an accounts payable team trying to work remotely. It's very on-premise physical presence based with most controls and processes, like filing cabinets and signature authority and that sort of thing, all being on site. Now trying to push that out remotely and maintain your internal controls and avoid fraud risk, it can be very challenging if you're doing it on your own. So I think companies are seeing that and they're coming to us for our solution.
I wanted to ask a little bit about how Nvoicepay has helped customers mitigate fraud and risk, because a lot has been going on in the world these days right now. Like a lot of people, fake payment requests, things like that. So how does Nvoicepay assist organizations in reducing fraud or their risk of fraud?
That's a great question, Kathleen. And that's kind of at the forefront of what we think about every day. And really a big part of why companies have been pushing to transition from check to electronic is that fraud component. Historically, the highest instances of fraud have been on paper check payments and the easiest thing to defraud. The banks have stepped in and put all these internal controls and additional things like watermarks and positive pay and positive payee to protect against check fraud, but it's still very prevalent. And so that's why a lot of companies have started shifting to electronic payment. Okay. The challenge with that is those same controls that have been put in place for check haven't necessarily been put in place for ACH, which is where many of the suppliers would prefer to get paid and where many of the companies want to shift to for electronic payment. And so what's happened and what we're seeing in the industry trends is this uptick in ACH payment fraud. And the way ACH payment fraud happens is it's more of an electronic cyber attacker versus somebody hijacking a check in the mail. And so you have more sophisticated fraudsters out there who are figuring out that they could go into a system, circumvent the controls, pose as a vendor, and then tell an AP person that the supplier's bank information changed to their own personal bank information the day before a payment goes out. Next thing you know, a $5 million payment goes out to the wrong person. And it's hard to pull an ACH back. Check, you could always do a cancel check and you got several days before it actually clears. With ACH, it's a couple days and you're kind of out of money. And so we've seen that. In fact, we've seen some very large publicly traded companies who have lost millions of dollars in electronic payment fraud. And we protect our customers against that. We take on all that liability because we manage that supplier information.
Wow. Yeah, that fraud is a big, huge risk for organizations. And I think that's why a lot of them are just, kept to the paper basis, like because they mail it, it goes into the post, somebody opens it up, it goes to the bank and it cashes it. So how quickly are you able to work with customers and get them up and running with Nvoicepay on average?
That's what I would say is one of the biggest hurdles we have to overcome in convincing new customers to sign up with us is they assume our solution is going to take 6 to 9 months because every other IT project takes that long. With us, it's several weeks at most. And the more engaged the customer is, the more information they provide us, the faster we can accelerate them through that boarding process. It's really hands-off. We don't require IT involvement. We basically take the file and the ERP that the customer has, and we consume that in the way they can produce it. We don't expect them to kind of map to our own systems and feed us their payment files like a lot of banks will do. We accept it in any format and we can pull in the data, basically agnostic of what ERP they're on.
That actually leads me to a really good question about integration with customers' existing financial management systems and ERP systems. How easily do you guys integrate? What does that look like? Is that something that's recognized from kind of a accountancy and security point of view to maintain the chain of evidence and integrity of those things for things like Sarbanes-Oxley and other compliance and regulatory systems?
Yeah, we meet all the SOC compliance requirements, and we don't really actually require a lot of data transfer from our customers on payment. In the payment instruction file, all that payment information doesn't exist because we manage that separate from the actual payment instructions as it comes across. We have a secure FTP. They load their file in whatever format it is, and we just run with it and feed it back through our portal, the status of those payments and the payment methods we're paying their vendors by. And they can then download that in and get a return file into their ERP, or we'll have an integration if they're on one of the ERPs we have integrations with.
Well, Josh, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it's been, I could see where, obviously over the last, several years, with more movement, more remote stuff, people moving in this direction, definitely with the, the no touch environments that we're in right now, given COVID and stuff, I could see how that definitely would have accelerated. So, I wish you the best. I'm sure Kathleen and Shane do as well. Wish your company all the best. And looking forward to seeing you guys keep growing. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Exciting times here for sure.
It definitely is. It's a good time to be in technology, especially with a lot of accelerated transformation.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, Josh. And we look forward from hearing from you in the near future.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.